Hello everybody, welcome back. StarCraft 2 action is the 2v2 Cup. Once again, we have MaxPax and Spirit going up against uThermal and Goblin here on Artic Flowers. Map I'm personally unfamiliar with. Let's look at it. It kind of looks like a enlarged 1v1 map. We have a shared main with a shared natural with one ramp into no ramp at the natural, but we still have a choke. And then we have a third base. We have a double third base, maybe? A single base, a single base. We have this gold base. Okay, interesting. And then we kind of get into the middle of the map. Let's see how this works out. Now, this series, of course, is the semifinals from the other side. We already saw one semifinals in our previous video. So, in the finals, we have Trigger and Clem waiting for the winner of this series, best of 3. And to get here, we already saw uThermal and Goblin's route with Lemon and Deer and Milky Cow and Vanya, or Wayne, as their opponents. And Spirit and MaxPax had some tough opponents of their own. They beat GG Machine and Shameless, which I know that GG Machine shows up in more or multiple 2v2 tournaments. And they, of course, that team that I just mentioned, for example, beat Skillus and Moya. So, definitely to be feared in 2v2. Spirit and MaxPax also beat Bratok and his teammate to get to this round of 4. So, not like super notable 1v1 players, but they could be more notable 2v2 players. So let's see what happens here. This matchup specifically has already happened before, or at least I found at least one time that it happened in the Wardy Team Liquid Map Pool Cup thing. Map Pool Tournament, where they like try and make a map pool or try new maps. And it was specifically number 12, the 2v2 second edition or something. It was a little weird, but you can find it. And in that match, it was in the finals. And Spirit and MaxPax actually 3-0'd Goblin and uThermal. That was a couple months ago. I think it was in September of last year. Oh, double Stalker of Goblin. Doesn't quite get the kill on the Reaper. Need that one extra shot. The Reaper of uThermal was not in time to do something about it. We see a MaxPax Adept running across the map. And Spirit and MaxPax are going for an expansion. uThermal gets the scout here, sees the Twilight, does get his Reaper cancelled. This Hellion over here and this Stalker do find the Adept. And Spirit and MaxPax are very aware that uThermal and Goblin did not expand. We do see Twilight console for Goblin with a blink underway, but MaxPax is on his heels with his blink, but he already has an expansion. So there's going to be a very slight window for Goblin to have blink against MaxPax, where MaxPax won't have blink just yet. Ooh, little kerfuffle in the middle here. Spirit is making a lot of Reapers, just like we saw uThermal do in a previous game. Oh, the Reaper comes in from behind, lays a mine, doesn't quite get a nice connection. This Hellion does try to get another shot, but is afraid of dying. Goblin is building a gateway in the front so they can really put on the pressure, warp in some of these Stalker boys near their opponent's base. And we do already have one shield battery for MaxPax. Spirit still powering up the Reapers, and behind this, uThermal got a fusion core. He's making a battle cruiser, so this is some pressure at the front. And hopefully, or that they are hoping that the battlecruiser will do enough damage when teleporting. I expect it to teleport into the main base. And it could probably kill a lot of Spirit's SCVs. Let's get back to the fight here. That's a lot of stalkers here for Goblin. Now MaxPax also has his blink, but he has a lower amount of stalkers. Goblin, 9 stalkers now. One got sniped by MaxPax. Of course, these buildings from Spirit are kind of confusing the stalkers what they need to attack. The Hellions of uThermal doing a good damage to the SCV line there. Now even tanking for the stalkers of Goblin, and Goblin is just walking in. The battlecruiser comes into the fight. Blinks right on top. It is now starting to snipe these stalkers, and these stalkers can't really afford to snipe this battlecruiser right now. They have to deal with the stalkers of Goblin. The workers came off the line from MaxPax, and now MaxPax does have a nice amount of stalkers still remaining. These stalkers of Goblin can start one-shotting his opponent's stalkers. The shield battery is empty, but the battlecruiser is down, and MaxPax still has enough stalkers left remaining and is now pushing out Goblin away from his natural. Get out of here, boy. And now 2 Protoss players doing that blink mikra. And let's see who comes out on top. No stalkers have exploded yet. One of them does go down. 2 of them go down. And now a couple Hellion and Reaper try to soak a couple shots for the stalkers that are the real damage dealers in this fight. And that looked pretty good for Goblin, as he got 2 stalkers to explode from MaxPax and also had uThermal help him a little bit, soak some extra shots. Healthy stalkers in front, nice blinks, and 1 extra stalker goes down here for MaxPax. Goblin taking those nice trades, but if you look at MaxPax's supply, it's really, really skyrocketing right now. That Reaper does take a big shot, but MaxPax blinks back right away to make sure that he doesn't really lose any, or doesn't give any free shots to Goblin in this blink versus blink fight. Goblin is keeping his opponent on the opposing side of the map. Also wants to keep his gateway alive for as long as possible, but now he is going to lose his infrastructure right here. And maybe he gets a couple free shots on top of this ramp with an acceleration zone on top of it. That is quite interesting. MaxPax also has a gateway at the other side of the map as well. Do we have a Dark Templar shrine from MaxPax? No, he even has 6, 7 gateways, so probably being fed a bunch of money here by Spirit, which does explain why MaxPax had so many stalkers all of a sudden. It's just a feeding strategy once again, but now with a lot of stalkers. We even see a bunker here from uThermal in the main, knowing that blink stalkers could be a menace. Do not have any siege tanks as of yet. We see the scan coming out, and scan gives enough vision for these stalkers to get into the main of Goblin. The bunker gets killed right away. No bio here to reinforce, so it's just the sentry and the stalkers. Nice snipe from MaxPax onto the sentry. That Guardian Shield not providing the +2 armor anymore. Oh my god, Spirit even has a tank here. Also a tank from uThermal coming out, so Blink Stalker tank versus Blink Stalker tank. We do have that shield battery making sure these stalkers stay alive, but it's empty now. And no nuclear battery in the game anymore. Second tank comes up, and this is suddenly very awkward. What a map, dude! With these siege tanks really shutting down a big portion of the main. I guess in 1v1 it wouldn't be such a problem, but in 2v2, you could have siege tanks and an army being very annoying. Now, we do have some siege tanks from uThermal coming in as well, and they are holding on right now. But if you look at the supply, especially Goblin supply, is painfully low. 38 supply right now, and it's only 13 probes. Almost all of Goblin's probes did die. uThermal does have a third orbital, so maybe he can drop some mules, throw over some minerals to his buddy there. And if you are playing this 2v2 match, you would probably try and take a corner base. Just try and take a random ninja expansion and hope that they don't find it, because you can't really expand right now. If you are uThermal Goblin, like, you can't take these bases, because you just can't defend more area than you're already defending. We do see a pretty cool siege line here from uThermal. More siege tanks coming out. He has 6 already. We saw that one battlecruiser. Where is it? Teleported home, presumably. That did go across, did get some kills. It has 10 kills. So let's see if we see any workers. Yeah, lots of SCVs lost there. We do see Dark Templar Shrine, so when behind. Still Dark Shrine from Goblin at the 9-minute mark. Hallucinated Phoenix is going to get a lot of scouting information. Is going to see that uThermal is going into a bioplate. Wow, is actually putting more barracks onto tech labs. Might go very heavy on the Marauders and just going for double reactor factory? Is he gonna go like crazy Widow Mine? What is this? That is crazy, dude. 1-1 is coming up for uThermal here, and he has decent supply, but look at MaxPax. Oh my god. He has so much money! He has so much supply! He has a big chonkin army. He has 24, 25 stalkers, bunch of zealots as well. Just gateway manning it up. And, ooh, that stalker does not appreciate getting shot by the siege tank, but what is going to stop him? This Dark Templar from Goblin is going to try and run across the map. We do have this battlecruiser trying to get into position as well, but there's already a cannon here from MaxPax at the 4th base, and he's making one at the natural as well now. He's making one at the 3rd. He's making one at that base as well. Did they spot it somehow? Yeah, they did see the Dark Templar shrine. And that's going to make these Dark Templar a painful investment for Goblin, still at 70 supply, trailing behind his opponents immensely. MaxPax is 100 supply ahead. Now, I guess Spirit could be funneling into MaxPax, and then Goblin could funnel into uThermal. But MaxPax, wow, even goes for a fight. Oh, does get a nice snipe on double Medivacs there. The 3rd base from uThermal has to fly away here. And MaxPax might actually be able to snipe this orbital. That would not be nice. Does go down. We see a Warp Prism flying into the main here. And there's already a double drop from Spirit, completely taking Goblin out of the fight. This MaxPax army is still alive, and that means that Goblin and uThermal just can't quite do anything. We're going to see a massive warp in the main. Let's see how many gateways. 9 gateways. So that's like 9 zealots on top of this Dark Templar plus zealot combination into the main base on top of the supply of both players. And yes, uThermal was going for the Widow Mines. That's pretty cool. But with losing that 3rd, not getting a good trade with MaxPax's army, and now also having to deal with Spirit and then MaxPax in their main on top of their production, that just means that they are boned. And that means that Spirit and MaxPax take the first game. I like that early attack from Goblin and uThermal, trying to put some pressure onto MaxPax and Spirit, but damn, dude, MaxPax was so ready for it. Spirit just wanted to expand and tech, so he wasn't going to make any units. He didn't have the infrastructure. That also costs money. But in 2v2, you can just give your ally money. He has the infrastructure, or you can account for the possibility by making a little extra infrastructure, and then just make units. And so Spirit didn't have to invest into extra barracks or whatever to make units. And bio without upgrades aren't very good, but MaxPax using that same money to make stalkers that actually have the blink upgrade and benefit from the shield battery, that's way better. And that's pretty cool. Then in 2v2, you can actually defend by funneling your money into your ally that is actually set up to make units. It's kind of like if you're playing double Zerg, one of them is just teching aggressively, just making drones, not saving any larva, and the other guy can just kind of like save larva for a bit and be like, okay, if we get attacked, I could instantly make 20 roaches if they attack. And if not, I'll make my drones a little later. So 2v2, pretty cool. Let's go to game number 2. And for game number 2, we load up into Rhoskallian LE, which is a 2v2 map that has been in the pool for quite a while. The big thing about this map is these Xel'Naga towers that really allow you to get the middle of the map. Do get a shared natural with ramp, and then a pretty easy 3rd base for one person, and then it gets a little wonky. This 3rd base for the other is hard. This base is very much in the middle. I guess a 3 on there. I don't know what that signifies. Where are the other numbers? It's mirrored. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so that's basically the map. You get an early base, and then you kind of have to break out and take this middle area over here. Where if you take this area, you're allowed to take this base, you're allowed to take this base, you're allowed to take this base. Usually most of the defenses happen over here, sometimes on top of your ramp. And then taking your Xel'Naga, whichever one you choose, you can kind of take both, or either or. That then kind of lets you take this whole bottom area on the minimap as well. You take this base, you take this base, you take this base, take this base. This is a great map for ninja expansions. Like, your opponent's just not going to see it. Nidus Swarm's here for the Swarmos, also pretty good. You could try to blink in, but it's a little hard. But definitely still viable. So let's see what is going to go on. uThermal and Goblin, of course, down 1-0. Have to pick up the pace here and show us something good. Double gateway opener with Cybercore gets scouted out by MaxPax. And Goblin and MaxPax are having a little probe fight over there. Looks like MaxPax is losing it. Yes, he is. We do see the single Cybercore for MaxPax and already has a Nexus as well. So again, they are being a little bit more economic. So the blue team, Goblin and uThermal, not really aligning their colors perfectly to become the red team, but close enough, I suppose. As long as one team is pretty clearly similar, and Goblin and uThermal aren't like dissimilar. Reaper is out on the map, but we also have Spirit about to pop a Reaper. No, about to pop a second Reaper already, and we see Stargate play from MaxPax coming out. Goblin putting down a pylon in the corner of the map. Is he gonna go for DT Rush? Or, I mean, what other tech are you gonna proxy here, really? You could proxy a Twilight Console, I suppose, as well, to go like for Blink or Charge or even Glaives, if your opponent doesn't like have a way of knowing. But we're gonna see that in the near future. Oh my god, uThermal flies into his death with his jetpack onto the Xel'Naga tower. Didn't quite have vision. Spirit took control of that Xel'Naga, whereas uThermal had control of the other one. And MaxPax now running across with an adept. 2 adepts from Goblin already, though, to find these Reapers trying to come across the map. Oh, the Shades do find his opponent, but he doesn't quite see it, or he doesn't want to react to it. So now these adepts, oh, they are going back. Spirit has a Hellion, though. Now 2 Reapers are going to get into the main base of uThermal. They are going to make sure that this starport does not finish on time. It gets delayed a little bit. We do have this Stalker now as well. Let's see what he built. He did build the Twilight Console. He is making a Dark Templar Shrine. And this Reaper is not going to find anything good. He does find a Robo. So there could just be, just like the good old days, fly a Warp Prism behind the shrouded area and warp your DTs in there, because of course that is even more epic. You could also just do it over here, I guess. So we're going to see a Dark Templar drop? Most likely. Both players expanding now as well. Spirit finishing up his orbital. uThermal a little ahead on that. Oh my god, we see 2 more Stargates coming out with +1 attack, so this probably going to be another feeding strategy with the Phoenix, and the Phoenix are already out on the map. Find those uThermal Hellions that we have seen do a lot of damage in previous games. Goblin trying to move across the map here as well. And if this Warp Prism doesn't get out, gets found by the Phoenix, you have to like manually walk over your DTs. I guess it's not manual, but like you can't warp them into your opponent's base anymore. You have to actually just warp them in, well, at this point, at your wall, and then run them across the map, with the risk of them getting spotted at any moment. And here comes MaxPax with his Phoenixes. Is getting fed by MaxPax, or by Spirit here, so that they can take care of all of these SCVs, make sure that all of the workers go down. This Warp Prism is going to get into the main base, and hopefully for Goblin and uThermal, that's going to do a lot of counter damage, because they have been losing some workers already. Do see Blink coming out for Goblin now as well. More Phoenix just being added on here. Do they see it or not? No, they do not see it. So Goblin could throw in a couple DTs. He only has supply for 1. What was that? Was that a DT already? Yes, that was already the first DT. Oh my god, Goblin kind of giving up the jig without sending in like 4 DTs right away. And so now his opponents are already aware, already starting to defend against it. Do we have any scans remaining? No, we do not. More DTs are coming out. The DT is in the natural, DT is in the main, and it's getting really crazy with all the DTs trying to do some damage. We still have the 13 Phoenixes in the sky. We do have the 1 Oracle flying around that can use the Revelation onto one of the DTs, and there we go. One DT gets picked up, gets killed, but there's another one here. We do have 1 more Revelation in the bank, but it has a very low cooldown. We do see a scan instead, but decent kills for Goblin and uThermal, taking down a bunch of workers. 6 probes and, oh no, 13 probes and 15 SCVs. That's way better. But now the Phoenixes are back on their opposing side of the map, and 1 turret is not gonna dissuade them from taking down some more workers. That's kind of the problem with the Phoenix builds. It's just, you can't cost efficiently defend against them. As the Terran, you kind of have to, like, have a bunch of Widow Mines, I suppose. Maybe if you have a good amount of Vikings, you can kind of push them out. But especially against Protoss Terran, it feels really bad. We saw it with Hero Marine status as well. If there's a bunch of Marines, maybe a couple tanks underneath the Phoenix, it's so hard to deal with them. Now Goblin is going to go for a third base, even though he's a little low on, well, army count mostly. Oh my god, the Phoenix get into the natural. The Stalker's not quite there and not high enough in number. And the Phoenixes just pick up everything that they can find. Do see a couple Widow Mines coming up, but it's not enough. And now all these light units on the ground getting picked up, getting picked off. Goblin dips below 50 supply. Now Spirit is at 60 supply, but he has a bunch of tanks that are defensively placed. Ooh, look at uThermal going for a nice counterattack here. And does get one Widow Mine shot, two Widow Mine shots, gets a couple Phoenixes killed, and this one tank is going to help him destroy Spirit's mineral line here. So it's tit for tat. uThermal destroys Spirit, whereas MaxPax destroys Goblin. Goblin boy, you should really take a ninja base. Trust. That's a lot of Phoenix, though. We have 20 Phoenixes right now. It does pick up the tank, and the Marines are not enough to defend that tank. Do have the one Widow Mine still here. Spirit now reinforces this position with his own tanks. He was already reinforcing the third base, but now uThermal might actually be able to run in here and do some damage to the third base of MaxPax. If he can take that down, that's going to be really nice. Taking down the third base, but that's a lot of units being clicked. And the Marauders do finish off the Nexus. Oh my god, all of them were lifted up, but now the Phoenix just don't have a lot of energy anymore. Third base has been taken down, and Goblin even double expanding there. He's just like, I need something in this game. I need to make sure that after uThermal pulls off a miracle, I can actually make one happen in kind. A couple DTs were dropped once again. Goblin still has the one over here. 14 kill Dark Templar. That is massive. 22 and 44 SCVs lost for Spirit. That is crazy. We have 16 Phoenix remaining. We do see 3 in production again. And they just don't have, like, infinite energy anymore. Usually, that's the worst part about these Phoenix, that they just have infinite energy. But now, wow, even the one turret, kind of making it difficult for them. We have a couple Dark Templar becoming Archons, and Archons are pretty good. Oh, the Widow Mine defense. That was a very nice split from MaxPax, and this game is gonna go past the, well, the kind of lame-ish Phoenix Rush stage. So, very nice. Let's look at the supply. Spirit is dumpstered. Goblin is recovering. MaxPax is behind uThermal. And they are making this a game. Very cool to see the DT drops from Goblin do double duty. Now, uThermal, look at this. He really has to get out onto the map to try and get a position here. Doesn't have Drilling Claws, but has a lot of Widow Mines. I would look to on top of that cliff as well. Or at least like a turret or something to give some vision. Oh, look at these Phoenix being really annoying, but they are flying into the Widow Mines. Oh! That wasn't even that bad. But still, wasn't great either. 21 Phoenix have already gone down. 12 remaining, so that was a decent amount of Phoenix going down to all of those Widow Mines. And that is triggering uThermal and Goblin to move across the map. But there is still a good amount of siege tanks here. Let's see, how many do they have? The 5 siege tanks here from Spirit kind of defending. But if we put the Archons in front and we keep jumping forward to Stalkers, we can really deal some damage. This MaxPax base is going to go down. Very uncontested. Couple Widow Mines go down there as well, making sure that if the Phoenix come in, they are going to be really sad. One Widow Mine does go or get a shot off. The Phoenix can still try and lift up all of those Widow Mines. Stasis wards really well dealt with by Goblin and uThermal. And now, with some siege units and Stalkers, this third base is being harassed really badly. Stasis ward in the back there. I don't know if it's ever going to be useful, but MaxPax still mining from this and is now transitioning into carriers. Dirty, dirty carrier boy. I think we should just ban Stargate Tech from Protoss. Maybe we allow oracles. But, like, Phoenix and carriers are both just so lame. It's like, you're immediately like, oh, there's carriers. He's gonna A-move. So talented. But still, it's cool to see the capital ship, I suppose. 4 Archons are here. They can deal with interceptors relatively well. Marines can also do that. Do we have any upgrades? We do have 1-1 for uThermal. So that's pretty nice. We don't have any armor or shield upgrades for MaxPax either. So those interceptors could be dealt with really well. Sadly, he did end up losing a bunch of Widow Mines. uThermal did. So that doesn't really help with the interceptors. But maybe he can resume production. And he is resuming the production. They identify that the tanks are gone from the Natural of Spirit once again. And they want to make sure that he becomes very sad. But there is no tanks for uThermal remaining. Now we only have interceptors. You can try and kill those. They do cost minerals, but MaxPax doesn't seem to be troubled by minerals. 2,500 minerals in the bank. Goblin also has a bunch of minerals. He is just rapidly expanding all across the map. That is very nice. And look at this position. This is basically this map in a nutshell. If you can't break out, you are being contained forever, ever, ever, ever. Whereas your opponents are just going to take the entire map. We do see a nice scan there from Spirit. Sees that a Goblin has expanded. Let's see what they see. Look at the minimap. They don't see anything past the 4th base of Goblin, but we know that they have a lot more bases than they can see. uThermal about to max out, and Goblin even pretty close to maxing out himself. MaxPax goes for a pretty greedy 4th, if I may say so. But, I mean, you have to try something. If it gets up, you can maybe try and defend it with your mothership, with your carrier. But for now, even with the Widow Mines here, we see 4 ghosts coming out from uThermal. Nukes are actually pretty nice to break this position. I don't know if we're going to see nukes, but I really hope so. 2-2 underway for uThermal. So maybe he thought that they were going to end the game here and didn't start 2-2. Oh, Widow Mine goes on to the Marines. And Marines are actually really good against the Widow Mines. I mean, tanks are also pretty good. How many Widow Mines have we lost? 23 Widow Mines. And Widow Mines into Terran feel pretty bad. Oh, these units were A-moved. Do bite to dust. And wow, look at uThermal also taking a 4th base. They almost take the entire top side of the map. I would love them to just take a bottom base, like put a PF here, and just start muling the ever-living crap out of it. Even over here. You can even build some turrets at this point. But uThermal doesn't want to entrench himself into a bunch of siege tanks, so... Oh, look at that. Goblin gets the note. He gets the memo. He's like, okay, we gotta expand forward. Or no, this is MaxPax, actually. Wow. He is very confident that he could take this base. Do you get the cloaking field from the mothership? Does work on your allies as well. Okay, we can't zoom out further than this, so you'll have to do with whatever you can see now. Big army from Goblin and a very chonky army from... uThermal. Let's see how many units he has. He has 53 Marines, 9 Ghosts, and 17 Marauders. And these Ghosts, of course, the 3 Supply Ghost. And both these players are maxed out. MaxPax is maxed out on how many carriers? 13 Carrioren. And Spirit's still lacking behind, so the only way that Spirit and MaxPax can fight is in a defensive position. Spirit has to lift off the CC the moment he sees the units, and now siege tanks are moving forward. Does he have any upgrades for those siege tanks? I would like to know. No, he does not. +0 siege tanks. 2-2 about to finish for uThermal. We do see the first nuke coming out. And more Ghost Academies joining the fray. We also see more command centers being built. And the first nuke is going to go down. We do see a scan. And the Ghost did get clicked down by all of the interceptors. Look at all of the interceptors dying. Marines are pretty good at killing interceptors. That's for sure. We do see armor upgrades now coming for MaxPax. He's kind of realizing, oh, my interceptors are kind of getting owned. We do see a decent nuke here at the Natural. We'll clear up the center tower and the turret and whatever. Might see a follow-up like blink in from Goblin or something else. Oh my god, we actually see the mothership recalled in this entire carrier army into the main of uThermal. We do have Goblin Tempest here, so we can start one-shotting these carriers, but carriers have really good range, and they actually deal pretty well with the Tempest somehow. Carriers are a unit, all right. Another Tempest goes down. And look at this. 18 carriers on the map, and now uThermal had to run back all the way together with his buddy to try and defend, but all these buildings are stopping the ground units from stopping or attacking anything. And wow, MaxPax, what a move, getting his team back into this game and maybe even in the driver's seat in one fell swoop. Oh my god, so much bio is dying here. Do we have any carriers dying? No, we do not. And no carriers have died. All of these interceptors are now dealing with the Tempest as well. The Tempest can't help but get in range, and uThermal calls the GG. Spirit taking down all of these bases at the top as well, and Goblin tried to deal with that, even used the recall at the top probably. Wow, dude, in a 1-2 punch, MaxPax and Spirit just clear up multiple bases from uThermal and Goblin and kind of got them with a gotcha moment. Carriers, Omega lul. I guess you should have built 30 turrets there, you nerd. But I think the big thing is that they didn't put up well enough of a contain that MaxPax and Spirit were able to expand, and they didn't put up a fight right away. If you get what I mean. Like, if they entrench themselves in front of the third base of MaxPax, you build a couple turrets, you have some siege tanks, you have some Tempest, like, you make it hard for your opponent to push into you, then at some point they're gonna A-move the shit out of you, right? And you can even lose that fight, but it just needs to be cost-efficient-ish for you. Because then, they have to move from this point all the way over to your base to really end the game there. Oh, I didn't update the scores at the start of the game, sorry about that. But now, MaxPax and Spirit were actually allowed to inch forward slowly, and finally take these bases. And MaxPax at the back of that was just getting cash money in the bank from Spirit. And he was allowed to build this carrier army. And that carrier army, no joke, was able to 2v1 this game. Like, this army of Goblin plus uThermal wasn't able to deal with the carriers. They didn't really have an anti-carrier army in the end, which is pretty difficult to make because carriers are difficult to deal with, to say the least. I'm not sure what they should have done. Do you need Thors? Probably not. Pretty bad. Do you need more Widow Mines? I like it, but they can friendly fire. Tempest would have been useful, but Goblin, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can get them in time. I do like the ghosts a lot. I like the high marine count, some medevacs to keep the marines alive. Getting enough upgrades to keep your marines alive against the interceptors that do low amounts of damage in high frequency. I don't know, this was pretty cool. And I thought that uThermal and Goblin had this one in the bag after fighting back really strongly against that Phoenix build. But sadly, you can just go into mass carrier afterwards, and it's just... It's kind of like Broodlord Infestor in that way, where it's like, oh, my opponent has Broodlords now. The game just kind of changes, like, oh, now he can just kind of sit, and I can't fight him anymore, and I, like... The carriers are pretty oppressive in 2v2, and especially with allowing to send money or being allowed to make multiple gates. I think we're never going to see like a change in that sense. They might change the money feeding, but we're not going to like limit stargates to one, right? Just you can only make one stargate. Maybe you can make two, but then you already get the mass Phoenix stuff, which is not that fun. But at least you make it beatable. But as soon as the opponent is allowed to make 3 stargates and just gets more money than you could usually get in 1v1, and just a couple tanks and like static defense will keep you alive. It's pretty impressive, but the meta is fresh, and there hasn't been like a lot of pro players trying to crack the Phoenix feeding into carrier strategy, and I think Spirit and MaxPax, they're refining the first good strategy for Protoss Terran right before our eyes. They 2-0'd uThermal Goblin, and they go to the finals against Clem and Trigger, who play the same race combination. So let's see if Clem is going to go to the dark side again, go for double Protoss, and if they play the similar strategy, or if they have a counter. I don't know yet. We're going to see. I hope to see you in that next cast. Thank you so much for watching. I rambled a little long at the end there. But still, I hope you enjoyed the StarCraft 2 action. And I hope to see you in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe. Cheers.